that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
You know. Not your average nigga, I'm a guy out the hood. They can't downplay me. I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us to think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like...
Peace, blessings, family, and welcome back to Shifting the Culture podcast. I am your host, Brother King Cam, and tonight we have a show lined up for you tonight where we are going to be discussing President Donald Trump and his recent convictions, 34 of them, felonies, and what does this have to say about the country, the direction the country is moving in, and how does that affect his run for the White House, family? So you don't want to miss this. I definitely want you to chime in. So I need everybody that's tapped in from Facebook and YouTube. I need you to go ahead, comment, like, and share. I need you to make sure that you hit that subscribe button. If you're tuning in from YouTube, make sure you hit that bell so you can stay notified each and every time that we drop a video, family, and smash that subscribe button. Smash that subscribe button. And for the Twitter family that's tuned in, make sure that you retweet. Let me see something, because I forgot to add Instagram in here again. What's this? I don't think I can plug them in right now. So, but either way, we're gonna get Instagram back next week. We'll just get them back next week. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna be discussing tonight, family. Like I said, hit the comment section. Let me know what city and state that you tuned in from. And tonight, man, we're gonna be discussing President Donald Trump. All right. And this is Shifting the Culture, the Mindset, the Movement, and I'm your host. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, most people have seen the headlines about Donald Trump and his conviction. Okay. I want to go ahead and get the clip pulled up here. Where people, are able to hear exactly what actually took place. Donald Trump did a rally, did a press conference after, the conviction and everything like that. So let's go ahead and see if we can get this bad boy pulled up here. Yeah, let's go ahead and pull this one up.
Made history this week, probably not in the way he wanted to, though. The former president convicted of felony crimes in a New York courtroom. A jury finding him guilty of 34 felony charges of falsifying business records to hide a $130,000 payment of hush money to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Those charges are Class E felonies, the lowest tier in New York State. Mr. Trump denounced the conviction while President Trump praised the rule of law, saying that no one is above the law.
Because everybody saw it was a rigged deal. It was a rigged trial. But we're going to make America great again. We're going to make it better than ever before. November 5th, remember, November 5th is the most important day in the history of our country.
Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity. That's how the American system of justice works.
Well, the case was brought by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. This was Bragg's response to the conviction.
And while this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law and doing so without fear or favor.
Okay, so now Judge Juan Merchan will decide Trump's sentencing in July, specifically July 11th. Each felony conviction punishable by up to 4 years in.
All right, so there you have it, family. There you have it. Donald Trump convicted of 34 felonies. Okay, convicted 34 felonies. And I want to know in the comment section, what are your thoughts on this now? I want to read some articles as to, some of what the people have been saying. I do want to read this article here because it's important for us to note that this is actually not just random. This isn't something that is just solely playing out, because that isn't something that is just solely playing out off the cuff, right? This is actually spiritual. This is actually spiritual. So let me see. Because there we go. Because if we study the scripture, Barabbas in the Bible is actually also accused of insurrection. That's a heavy thing. That's heavy. Let me see. No, why is she messing with that? Let me see. Oh, hold up. Okay. So, yeah, this isn't something that is that's just random, right? This is not something that's just random. So I want us to really, think about that, right? So President Trump convicted of 34 felony convictions, 34 felonies rather. Obviously, you already know what he's tied to as far as January 6th of 2020 or 2021. And that he, incited insurrection at the Capitol. And then look at this. I want you to read this now. It says that Trump alludes to violence by supporters if he goes to jail, but says he's fine with house arrest. So let's go ahead and play this real quick.
Drama. Donald Trump has become the first former U.S. president to stand in a criminal trial. On being faced with 34 claims that allegedly he falsified business documents, the former president continually called the trial a sham and denied all wrongdoing. And that was just the start. Here are some of the key moments of Donald Trump's hush money trial. Firstly, the gag order.
About certain things, and so I'm being very careful, but you saw what happened.
Trump violated his gag order 10 times, causing the judge to fine him $10,000 in total for contempt of court, and said he would consider jailing him if he continued to violate the order.
I won't say that. It's the money key, so I won't say that. In fact, you're going to have to get this one because
All right, so they're going to run through that whole thing, highlighting that, but I want to get to this right here where it says that former president turned convicted felon Donald Trump has suggested his supporters would resort to violence if he is jailed after being found guilty of 34 felonies in New York last week. In an interview with Fox News on Sunday, Trump said that he would be okay if the judge overseeing his case, Justice Juan Merchan, orders him to a period of house arrest at his July 11th sentencing, just 4 days before he is set to accept the Republican Party's nomination to run against President Joe Biden in this year's general election. Trump also rebuked one of his attorneys for saying in a previous interview that Mershon, that's how you pronounce it. I kept hearing it in the news, and they was pronouncing it Mershon. So when I was saying Merkin, I'm like, that's not how you pronounce that. It's Mershon. Okay. Interview that Mershon should shy away from a custodial sentence because of his status as a former president. You don't beg for anything, Trump told Fox and Friends Weekend on Sunday. The ex-president, whose supporters violently stormed the U.S. Capitol in a failed attempt to prevent certification of his 2020 election loss to President Biden, then said he was unsure the American public would stand for him being incarcerated and hinted that such a development could have a similar outcome to his election loss. So, as he's alluding here to obviously the 2020, what they like to call insurrection. Okay. That's what they call it. The insurrection, 2020 insurrection. And he mentions that if he is put in jail, now this is just what the article is saying. We haven't got the audio from President Trump, but what he's saying is that the American public would stand for him being incarcerated, and hinted that such a development could cause a similar outcome to his election loss. So all of this is very symbolic, and when we look at it from a scriptural lens, because shifting the culture is all about shifting our perspective on how we see things. Now, I don't know how most people perceive all of this to take place. I think some people may think it's just what a time to be alive. They might just think it's what a time to be alive. You have President Donald Trump, whoever thought he would have ran and actually won the presidency. You have people who are connecting this spiritually. You have other people who don't care. They just think this is just a part of life, right? But we always like to look at things through the spiritual lens and to see how it's connected to us today. And this is what the minister has helped us to do, whether it's biblical, Quranic, looking at the scriptures and seeing how does it apply to us today. Because it's beautiful, all of that stuff happening 2,000, 4,000 years ago, 600 years ago, 1,400 years ago, whatever. But how does it affect us today? And what we come to find out is that the book is a living book. I'm talking about the scripture now. It's a living, both Holy Quran and Bible. So if the book is living, then that means that what's written in it can't all be history. So what we have learned and what we've been taught is that 75% of what you read is actually prophecy. 75% of both the Bible and the Quran is prophecy, and only 25% of it is actual history. I'm going to say that again. 75% of what you read in the Bible and the Quran is prophecy. 25% of it is history. Okay? It's historical. So if that's the case, then now we have to look at those things through a lens that helps us understand that majority of what we're reading is prophetic, not historic. Okay, where do we put it into the prophetic lens of our view? So that brings me to the scriptural essence of President Donald Trump. Now, when we see that Jesus is entering into the city, being praised by the people, ultimately is arrested by the Roman army and the Roman government, but at the behest of the Jews. And Pilate is asked, well, what's the reason this man is being arrested and why is he being crucified? Why are you asking for this? And what happens is they're not able to really give a good reason why. They say, well, he's committed blasphemy, he's committed sedition, things of that nature. So Jesus is then, sentenced to crucifixion, sentenced to death. So in the process of him being sentenced to death, we all know that there's another prisoner in there with the Jesus that Pilate goes to the people and say, hey, do you want me to release? Because I'm going to release somebody. Do you want Barabbas released or do you want Jesus released? And the people say they want Barabbas released. But look at this, though. Now, this is the point I wanted to get to. In Matthew 27:16, they call Barabbas a notorious prisoner. Oh, yeah, we read notorious. He's a notorious prisoner. And this is what I want us to get familiar doing. I want us to get familiar doing with. When you get a word, find out the definition of that word. The reason is because normally the whatever definition you have in your mind for that word is not the proper definition. It's not the proper definition that gives you the most clarity as to what that word means. So always look up definitions. So we have been taught and trained to clear words. So it says he's a notorious prisoner. So what does notorious mean? Generally known and talked of, widely and unfavorably known. So if you look at the fact that it's describing Barabbas as a notorious prisoner, he had to have some fame. He had to have some influence. He had to be known, whether good or bad, but specifically notorious is bad. He was known, but not for good reasons. He was unfavorably known. And this is how he's described in Matthew 27:16. But in Mark 15:17 and in Luke 23:19, he is in prison. He was in prison with the rebels who had committed murder during the insurrection against the occupying Roman forces. Now, when you look at that body of language, they're saying, okay, you got Barabbas who's in prison with rebels, people who rebelled, people who bucked the law, people who went against the law of the land, and who committed murder during the insurrection. So the scripture is saying that there's a Barabbas who's in jail with people who committed murder during the insurrection against the occupying Roman forces. And those Roman forces America is likened to ancient Rome. America is likened to ancient Babylon. America is likened to ancient Egypt. And the scholars will say, well, America isn't mentioned nowhere in the Bible. And that's true. By name, it's not mentioned. But it does talk about a mystery Babylon. It does mention a mystery Babylon in the book of Revelation. It mentions that, okay? So if it mentions the mystery Babylon in the book of Revelation, then clearly it's not talking about the one of X amount of years ago. I don't know how many years ago that was when Babylon was in existence, 2,000 years ago. Okay? So if there is a mystery Babylon the Great, then there's going to be a nation that's going to mirror the ancient Babylon, the ancient Babylonian nation. So it says in Revelation, mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. It says right here that this is a symbolic figure and a place of evil. She is often called the whore of Babylon in discussions of end times. So a whore, and I don't want to sound misogynistic, but they usually attribute a whore to being female. Now, in the United States of America, the United States is constantly and consistently referred to as her or she. So if the United States is constantly referred to as her or she, and the Revelation, the book of Revelation is saying there's going to be a mystery Babylon the Great that is the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, and it's not talking about the ancient, then America is the only nation that fits that description. Only nation. Only nation that fits that description. Okay. So you have the mystery Babylon revealed. We understand now the mystery Babylon is revealed, and that's America. Okay. So now that we know that America symbolizes ancient Babylon and symbolizes ancient Rome, let's get back to Trump, because it says this insurrection took place against the occupying Roman army. Okay? So if it took place against the occupying Roman army, then we're in ancient Rome as well, in the Roman forces. So that means there's going to be an insurrection that takes place in America. You didn't hear me. That means there's going to be an insurrection that takes place in America. I want you to follow me now, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. So there's an insurrection that takes place in America, and Barabbas is in prison with one who committed murder. Now, we can go as far as we want to go with this because we can actually pull up the articles and the receipts, because there is one who actually, during that January 6th, where they accused Donald Trump of, allegedly inciting an insurrection. There are reports that says that there was somebody who actually committed murder and went to jail. In jail right now. But I just want us to think about that. I want us to just really think about that whole scenario, because now this gives the book life. Now, as we mentioned, the book is living. So, because this is not some story from 2,000 years ago, and you're like, hey, yeah, that's all well and good, but how does that really, how does that have any impact on my life now? But we able to see that has major impact now. See, it's different when it was just a history lesson. But now, when you're able to put the characters into the roles of those who are playing the script, who are a part of this script, now it comes to life. Now you're like, whoa. And then no Revelation has so much relevance. I never knew Revelation had so much relevance. So I want you to just think about that for a minute. Just think about that for a minute now. Because I don't know if you ever had an opportunity, ever even thought about it, if it was ever revealed in that particular way. But now we have to look at this whole scenario. So now, 34 convictions, felony convictions later, Mr. Trump now is a 34-time convicted felon and awaiting sentencing in July. And they were saying that he could possibly get jail time or he could possibly get house arrest. Me personally, I'm thinking he's going to get house arrest, which I had mentioned. I don't know if I was having a conversation about this to somebody else at another time, but I definitely was going with house arrest. Like, you're not gonna be able to put him in jail just because there's a logistical aspect of it that you're not going to be able to account for. No jail, no prison is going to try to accommodate having the former president of the United States inside their facility, because you're going to have to accommodate Secret Service. you're going to have to accommodate the prisoner, obviously. He can't be in general pop. He cannot go and do as the other inmates do because of the status. So just off of that alone, you're not going to be able to put him in jail. So you're looking at house arrest at the bare minimum. So they made all this hoopla about him going to jail, going to trial, committing the felonies, now convicted of the 34 felonies, all to get house arrest, and still can run for president from his house. We're gonna see. My man gonna be holding virtual campaign rallies from the house, from the living room. He gonna be holding virtual campaign rallies. So I wonder, is this going to affect his ability to run for president? You know, with all of the censorship and stuff that's taking place on Twitter, different various outlets around him being able to speak. You know, how does this affect the run for presidency? How does this affect the bid for the White House? You know, Democrats, obviously, they putting forth President Biden. And I think this is probably the first election in recent history where I have not seen where the Democrats or really the Republicans have really put forth any other candidates. Specifically, the Democrats, because the Republicans had a couple of people that were running early in the game. You had Nikki Haley. You had a couple other people that, you know, started out, but obviously fell by the wayside. The Democrats never had anybody outside of President Trump that you could think of. Now, if you can think of somebody else I'm missing, let me know in the comment section. But I don't know of there being anybody that the Democrats have put forth outside of President Trump, President Biden running again. And I don't know if they've been paying attention to President Biden, but, you know, he's not the most energetic, the most exciting, the most charismatic, or the most intelligent for the people in 2024. That's not it. No disrespect to the president, but this is just real. And what we got to understand, now I got to talk to my people. What we got to understand is that if we are not moving in the area of starting our own political party, if we're not looking to start our own political party, our own political action committee, where we're able to generate funds through crowdfunding, through other methods of fundraising that would allow us to finance our own candidates, then we're not playing this the right way. We're not understanding how this actually works. See, political action committees and lobbies are the ones who actually fund the candidates. And the candidates either come to those lobbies, come to those PACs, and they ask for money so that they can run for the campaign, so they can run their campaign. So if you're going to come and ask us for money so that you can run your campaign, then here's our list of demands. Here's our list on our agenda for what we need you to do if we give you this money and help build your momentum so that you are able to push your way into office. We'll do everything that we can to help make sure you get in office, because our interests are the interests that we want you to put forth first and that are priority when you get in office. That's how we got to think. But if we're not thinking like that, if we're not going to finance our own candidates, then we don't have a horse in the race. We don't have no reason to even be vested in the national election between current President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. What we have to really start focusing on is our local organizing committees. We need to start focusing on our PACs, our political action committees. That's what black people need to be thinking about. Because that's how you start to make waves in politics. We need to study civic engagement. How do you become civically involved? What are the different ways that you actually can participate in the civil, in politics? Because there's many different ways that you can actually politically engage and civically engage in this. But we have to now educate ourselves on that and then start participating. Because the power is not necessarily solely just in the vote. We think because you go vote, that's just part of it. That's one piece of your civic engagement. And that's one way that you can engage. You can write letters to your local representative. You can run for office. You can create a blog. You can participate in a campaign. You can do all of these things. You can create an organization. If you create your own organization, if you create your own political action committee, then what you do is you create an opportunity to develop funding. As I mentioned earlier, when you develop funding and you develop leverage, then you're able to take a candidate that you believe is going to push your agenda and you put them in office. But we're not thinking like that. And if we're not politically mature enough to think like that, we need to withdraw ourselves completely from this. Because if not, if you're solely going to just give a vote, then ultimately you're playing in the hands of either one of our open enemy. Because let's get it straight. Either one. Democrat, Republican, they are two wings on the same bird who have it out for black people in America. They don't have your best interests at heart. You were 3/5 of a human being at one point in time. You were property one point in time. You was a slave at one point in time. They didn't have your rights in mind, not your civic rights, not your human rights. They wasn't thinking about none of that. When the founding fathers, John Locke and George Washington, Thomas Jefferson and all of them, they weren't thinking about black people. So why are you thinking about them? But this is where we at. This is where we at. So President Trump, 34 felonies. And I know Dr. Jamal Bryant mentioned this in the service last week, that 34 felonies, President Donald Trump is still able to run for president and run for the White House. But you have people, specifically us, black people, obviously, who have 1 or 2 felonies. You can't become a police officer, can't work as a sheriff. You can't do all type of things. You can't get a security clearance. There's so many different things that you can't do. Can't get an apartment. You know, I can name them. And if you don't get your rights restored, you can't even get a passport if you don't get your rights restored. You can't own a firearm. All of these strikes against you as a felon. However, the most powerful person on the planet has been convicted of 34 felonies. However, he's not barred from participating in any of these things. Now, they'll tell you, well, yeah, he got to go through X, Y, and Z in order to, do whatever. But the reality of it is, if you're able to run for the presidency, there's not much else they're going to stop you from doing. Because even if they were to say, oh, well, you can't own a weapon, you got Secret Service. What do I need to own a weapon for? You got Secret Service for life. Because I'm former president, current president, so I got Secret Service detail for life, as far as that's concerned. And then, what you gonna do? You gonna stop me at TSA if I'm going out the country? Like, let's be for real. The former president here. Let's be for real. You're not stopping him. Even if you wanted to stop him, you couldn't stop him. You don't have the juice. Okay? So that was a point that Dr. Jamal Bryant brought up, which is a good point. However, we got to understand, black people and white people don't play by the same rules. And if you continue to think that you're going to make them, if you're going to make them make the rules fair and bring balance, then that's a pipe dream. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's a pipe dream. They're never even the playing field for us, because they know if they ever even the playing field, we're going to exceed whatever it is that they've done. This is why they burned down Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is why they burned down Greenwood. This is why they burned down all of our independent cities and towns that we built fresh out of slavery because we was given equal playing field and we exceeded them. We excelled them. We became wealthy entrepreneurs, business owners. We had our own drug stores. We had our own grocery stores, own hotels, own restaurants, own movies. We was doing our own thing. We was out their way, and they made it their business to come and to destroy what we had because their fear is black excellence. They fear black excellence. They don't fear black buffoonery. They don't fear black coonery. They don't fear black entertainment. They don't fear anything other than black excellence in the way of business, in the way of land ownership, in the way of wealth. That's what they fear. So they're never going to equal the playing field. So Donald Trump and his 34 felonies is not on the same playing field as you and I when we got 1 or 2 felonies. However, the only place that makes you on the same playing field is when you come and you hear the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then he'll shine you up, and put you on that same level. Real talk. Shine you up, put you on that same level. Hey, Malcolm, felon. But Malcolm was talking to presidents and was a statesman. Malcolm was going to meet with kings and rulers, but it was after he got the teachings. It's after he received them life-giving teachings. But outside of the teachings, no, you ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing with the felony. You're not doing nothing. You're gonna get a job, and you're gonna work that job and do what you got to do. But outside of that, you're not getting no press. Nobody's sweating you. You're not being made into a public figure, a spokesman, a statesman, none of that. Because this is not what America does. Especially for black people. Especially for black people. So let's head over here to the comment section, see what's going on, see what y'all got to say. Let me know y'all thoughts on this. Let me know y'all thoughts on this, fam. Are you serious? Oh. Mm-hmm. Why we always play ourselves. Oh, I don't even know what bro saying. What's going on, brother Bam? Brother Nathan, what's going on? What's up, Rick? So yeah, this real though. That's what I'm saying. Like the scripture, it jump out to you. And once you get that interpretation, once you get that lens from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you able to go in that scripture and just pull it out. You can just pull out what's happening today. I can pull this out. Because the principles of these stories that happen in biblical times and Quranic times apply today. You can go and look at the life of David and you can pull out principles. Oh, I don't know what happened, y'all. I said the live stream has stopped. And now it's like it started back over. I hope it ain't cut it off. And I gotta restart. Hold on, man. Let me see what's going on. Oh boy, let me see. Y'all let me know what happened, man. Let me know in the comment section what just took place. Let me go on YouTube real quick. Shoot. Look, Stephen A up here running his mouth. Nope, it don't even show that I'm live. Okay, it do say I'm live. Oh boy, let me see. Yup. Okay, so let me see if it made another video on Facebook. Okay, it's all still the same stream. So hopefully it stayed the same. All right, so yeah, dysfunctional families. That's all throughout the scripture. And in any one of those stories, you can pull out dysfunctional families. transgression of the law, which is sin, every one of those stories. You can pull that out. You can pull out mixed feeling and controversy, conspiracy. You can pull all this stuff out. All of the things that are happening right now, 2024, I can pull any current event, any situation that's taking place, and I can highlight a biblical principle behind it because it's living. And then some of it is so literal because it's 75% prophecy. It's prophetic. It's happening today. It didn't really take place back then. That story is there to paint a picture for you to be able to see into the future what's going to happen down the line if you follow it the proper way. The issue is we have not had the person who is the guide that's supposed to have the guidance that would help lead us properly. We've had guides, but they didn't have the right guidance. That's like, you get a guide that's going to take you on a tour, but he don't really know where he's going. So you going on a tour and you going and you seeing stuff and you being taken on a journey, but you're not seeing what you're supposed to see in the proper lens. You're not seeing everything in the right perspective because the guide don't know what he's talking about. So that's how it has been for you and I. We have not had a guide given the right guidance that would show us the scriptures in its proper context. So we've been reading it. We didn't have people read it to us, but we still ain't know what the hell is going on. We've been reading it. We didn't have people read it to us, and we still don't know what the hell is going on. How could you have the scripture and not be able to see what's taking place in it? How could you not be able to take it and place it over anything going on in your life and come in and watch it come off the page living? Yeah. Okay, say we hear you now. Went out about 15 seconds. Okay. It's been a couple of times it started out with no sound. Yeah, I don't know. Internet acting janky. I don't know why. But so this is what's going on. So that's how you're able to pull out that observation on Trump. And you're able to see, man, Trump is not just, just your regular former president or your regular candidate that's running for president. The minister said that Trump is an anomaly. He's an anomaly. Well, time to go clear the words. Let's go clear that word, family, so that we can make sure that we understand exactly what Brother Minister's talking about. Okay. Mouse acting crazy. All right. Anomaly. I did not spell that right. There we go. Let's see what this is talking about. Okay. Something different, abnormal, peculiar, or not easily classified. That's what an anomaly is. Deviation from the common rule or irregularity. So if the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that Donald Trump is an anomaly, it means Donald Trump is different. He's abnormal. He's peculiar, and he's a deviation from the common rule. And this is why he upsets so many establishment politicians, because he's a deviation from the common rule. He don't follow the rules of the establishment. He doesn't think like an establishment politician. Everything he does is peculiar, is abnormal, is different. And because the people are not used to something like that, and the media don't want that, and the establishment has the media in their back pocket, they pay to have him demonized. But we got to see exactly who he is for what he is so that we can know how we supposed to move. Because that's all black people need to know is how we supposed to move. We don't put our faith in any of these people. We don't need no great white hopes. All right? We don't need no great white hopes. Stop looking to white people to be your savior, because they're not saving you. Donald Trump, Biden, don't matter. They're not saving you. You got to save yourself, okay? You got to ride with the Messiah and save yourself. That's what you got to do. So in the process of that, but you got to understand what's happening, because if not, you'll get caught up. You'll get caught up because you got white people who think Donald Trump is their savior. You got white people who politically attach their political salvation to Donald J. Trump. And you got others that do it to Joe Biden. But really, Donald Trump has that following, has that base who have a different level of commitment. President Biden don't have that kind of base. That MAGA base, that's a cultish like base. And because that base is like that, that gives President Trump another type of charge, another type of energy, another type of influence that even the current sitting president does not have. Did you hear what I said? Donald Trump has an energy and a influence and a pull, magnetic pull, that the current president does not have. And that's because, in my observation, Trump is a part of the script that is detailed for us in Revelation as it pertains to the Barabbas of the Bible. Real talk. That's right. You're trying to make America great again. And he has his own ideas as to how he's going to do that. Through nationalism. Through patriotism. That's what he speaks to. Nationalism, patriotism, the down home, blue collar working American patriot. Who American bred, American born. American born, American bred. That's Donald Trump. If you're not wearing the red, white, and blue, and you're talking about anything outside of that, anybody coming into the country, any type of import, export that does not deal with America being the center point, the centerpiece, that's not what Trump is about. His constituents are the patriots, the Americans. Those are his constituents. Right? So that's what's going on. That's what's happening. So I want y'all to think about it and just let me know, as you get an opportunity to comment on this broadcast, and as you read and research and things like that, how does this affect, in your mind, how does this affect President Donald Trump's presidency, the 34 felonies? How is it going to affect it? If it affects it at all, it might not affect it at all. I want to hear what you got to say. Let me know in the comment section about that. So I was going to mention what I heard as far as the continued hype and build up. Now I spoke on this before. I spoke on this 2 weeks ago when another situation happened with Caitlin Clark. And I spoke on it 2 weeks ago and it's picked up momentum again because something else is taking place. So, you have a lot of people coming out now and continuing to speak on the situation. And I'm going to just say this. As I mentioned, broadcast 2 weeks ago, that Caitlin Clark and her buzz in the machine, it really didn't pick up until she had the rivalry with Angel Reese. I'm standing on that. And Angel just came out and said it. You don't have this hype beast around Caitlin Clark and her being the number one draft pick and coming into the league without Angel Reese. So you have to contribute the hype. You have to contribute the attention. You have to contribute all of the successes that are now happening in the WNBA that had gone overlooked for so long to not only Caitlin Clark, but you got to give my sister Angel Reese some applause for that as well. You got to give her some credit for that too. So let's not make this the Caitlin Clark show without you mentioning Angel Reese, because if it was not for their rivalry, if it was not for LSU beating them the first time, before the rematch and Caitlin Clark actually beating LSU to make it to the NCAA championship, the WNCAA championship, it wouldn't be all of this. She'd still be good. She'd still be nice. She'd still probably be the number one pick, maybe, because she's that good of a basketball player. But the hype beast ain't around that. The hype beast is around the rivalry that is generated between her and Angel Reese, and now her rivalry that's being generated through other players. Now she on the professional level. But when it came to that collegiate level, yeah, it was Angel. It was LSU. It was the Lady Tigers that was able to give that buzz. It was the Lady Tigers, because remember now, they beat her in the Final Four. They beat her in the Final Four, the first go round. So when they beat her, they sent her home packing. Say, yeah, Caitlin Clark, you take that on back. Take that on back to Iowa, sis. Take that on back to Iowa, because it's the Bayou Barbies that's in the building. They won the national championship that year. Then they get back to the Final Four. Rematch. Angel, Caitlin going at it again. The game go down to the wire. Good game, even though LSU had to come back because it was looking bad for a minute. Not even gonna play. I was sitting in there watching the game like, come on, LSU, you gotta make it. Gotta be better than this. So they closed the gap on it and made it a pretty good game at the end of it. However, Iowa won. Angel Reese go to the championship game, and then she win the championship. So, but there's a lot of people that's talking about it now, and it's just like, as I mentioned before, anytime you get a national news story like this one, that is at the level that it's at, you got some players in the background that's pushing the buttons. Not saying that the talent isn't what the talent is, because it is. The talent is there. Whether it's Angel Reese, whether it's Caitlin Clark, the talent is there, but you got the machine that's feeding the talent, that's continuing to feed the media outlets, that's continuing to feed everywhere that needs to be fed in order for the buzz to continue to grow. So the buzz is growing. The WNBA is getting what they're supposed to get now. So shout out to them. Shout out to them. But you can't tell them sisters how to feel, because you got this young white girl that come into the league, and all of a sudden, the WNBA supposed to be getting this, and the sisters like, what? And this is why Asia Wilson felt the same way that she felt about it, because she's a 2-time champion. Asia Wilson is a baller. So for you to overlook the fact that she not only balled on a collegiate level, but then she gets to the professional level, and then excels and exceeds those on the professional level because she wins the championship, not once but twice. And you giving this girl coming out of college, got one college championship, and she got the keys to the league now? She the face of the league? How, Sway? So, that's what we discussing, and that's what you see going on. So don't tell them sisters how to feel about it. Yes, they're able to get a bag. They can ride the wave if they choose. But don't ever deny a person the opportunity to speak out. Don't ever deny a person the opportunity to speak truth. Don't ever deny a person to stand on the truth that they speak. Because what Asia Wilson said wasn't a lie. Wasn't a lie. What is going on with Caitlin Clark? It's not a lie. Her being a white girl plays a role in her popularity. It's not that's what I'm saying. Nobody's lying about Caitlin Clark. People are just sick of hearing the truth about it. So because they sick of hearing the truth about it and they don't want to face it, and this is America's problem just in general, they don't never want to face the truth. So because they don't want to face the truth, what happens is they start to combat truth with falsehood. So they'll hear the truth that you speak, and then they try to twist it. And then they try to frame it in a way that makes you look like the villain. That's what they do. Again, not just with basketball or with Clayton Clark, but they do it in politics. They do it in, religion. They do it everywhere. They don't like hearing the truth, so they're going to take it. They're going to twist it. They're going to mix truth with falsehood. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to try to paint you as the bad guy. And they're going to try to set themselves up as the moral standard. Be careful now. Anytime you see somebody try to set themselves up as the moral standard, and then they come at you or come at you all situation from the moral perspective, yeah, that's a whole play. That's a play because they plan on you leveraging the media now. And they're going to leverage the media and they're going to call out whatever it is that they don't like about you. They're going to speak to it from a moral standpoint and make it sound like you are morally incorrect. And because of that, they deserve sympathy. Ultimately, things going in their favor. So you got to watch out for those type of situations, but they quick to move like that. So this is what you have going on. Oh, everybody always screaming racism. It's not about race. Everything is about race. They say it's not about race. Everything in America is about race. If it wasn't about race, why did they make it about race? Why did they develop white supremacy? If it wasn't about race, why did white people put black people in chains as slaves and steal them from their motherland, take their name, take their culture, take their religion, take their God? If it wasn't about race, why would you take Jesus, clearly a black man, make him white? If it wasn't about race in America, it's always about race. And don't let nobody tell you anything different. If they're telling you anything different, it's because they refuse to look. They refuse to open their eyes to be able to see. So, shout out to Gary Willis in the building. Always my good brother Nathan. Fields, brother Bam. Always tapping in. What's going on, brother Ricky? Sister Gail, what's going on? Appreciate you for coming through. David, salute for tapping in. Brother Nathan said they made laws, religion, education, all about race. It's really no way that you can get around that. So let's stop even playing with it. And that's why I said we got to stop playing these games, creating word salad and speaking around the conversation and what the core of the conversation needs to be. Stop doing that. Let's stop going around the mulberry bush. Let's stop beating around the bush. All the terms that I can think of that we can use about procrastinating and not trying to address the situation of not trying to be direct. That's what America does. They do a lot of scapegoating as well. But it's time out for all that now. We don't want to hear none of that. What we want to know is get down to the facts. Let's get down to the facts, no emotion, and let's see what it is. And in this particular conversation, that's what it's about. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and get on up out of here. Again, I appreciate everybody for coming through. And if we are so-called African Americans, where's our African language? Where is our African God? Someone killed it. Someone destroyed it. Absolutely. Right. So this is what I'm saying. It's always been about race when it comes to the open enemy. When it comes to the open enemy, everything with him is about race. So you got to think the same way. Let's stop thinking there's some kumbaya. There's some melting pot of all these different races. Yeah, you got a bunch of them here. Yeah, you have a melting pot. Yeah, but the mindset. What's the mindset of most of them towards you? White supremacy. That's the religion. That's the ideology. That's the goal. This is what they indoctrinate in any of these institutions, whether it's educational, penal, all of these different places. They're indoctrinating you with white supremacy. That's the order of the day. If you do that, as long as you're on the same page with that, then we good to go. You don't have no problems with America. All right. So because we know that, you got to think outside of the box now. And outside of the box thinking requires you to understand that everything is about race. There's a racial element to everything. All right. So listen, I'm going to get on up out of here, family. All right. Next Tuesday, we'll be here. We'll be back with another awesome topic in discussion. I said I was supposed to be doing something on Twitter tonight at 10:30. It's 10:30 right now. I don't know if we're going to make it. Let me see. Shout out to brother Roy X in the building. That's Vegas all day. That's Vegas all day. That's right, brother Nathan. So, but next Tuesday, family, same black time, same black place. We'd love to have you here on Shifting the Culture podcast to discuss whatever we have going on in our community, what's going on, and how do we shift our mindset. Because that's the biggest thing. It's shifting the mindset. And this is what inspired the show, was that we create content around different trending topics that are taking place, encourage and motivate through business and technology. However, when we're talking about these viral topics and these trending topics, how do we shift the mindset to a positive situation? How do we shift them into a mindset thinking outside of the box? How do we shift the mindset into a way to be solution-based? That's how we should be thinking. That's how we should be thinking. All right? So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and shut it down next week, family. Same black time, same black place. We'll catch you next week. And I leave you in the greetings of Assalamu alaikum.